messengers 1,000 times. You're waking up with Rise and Shine on Vision with Fel and DJ, and we have a special guest zooming into the studio.
I'm very excited for this one.
Yes, well, photographer to photographer.
Yeah.
You've got Ken Duncan here on Zoom. And Ken, we asked you how to introduce you, and this is the most humble and beautiful way I've heard. Can please introduce me as an average photographer with a great God. I think I have to dispute. I've seen some of your photos and they're not average. But good morning.
Well, we don't have an average God. That's what makes it special.
I love it, Ken. Hey, we are so blessed to have you on here, and we've done this under the the umbrella of remembering the Passion of the Christ. 20 years ago, you were on set photographer for Mel Gibson there on the film. It's back in cinemas all over Australia. I would love to just get a hot take of your personal memories of being on that set. Did you know what was happening, what the movie was going to become while you were there shooting?
Yeah, look, Mel's been a friend all through my life, and when I was shooting the book America Wide, I would stop in Mel's place in California just about every time, so I was aware that he was doing this book this movie. Because it was from a book by The Dolorous Passion by Anne Catherine Emmerich. And so he'd given me this book and he told me he was going to do it. And look, even the way the movie came about was supernatural. Mm. And so what happened is when they were interviewing Jim Caviezel, they were actually interviewing him for a surfing movie. And all of a sudden, Mel had already been working on the script. And Jim Caviezel, God had spoken to him and said, look, this is not about a surfing movie. It's about a movie on Jesus. And anyhow, he goes to this meeting with Mel and Steve McAvity, who's the other producer, and they're talking about surfing movie. And then, like, Jim Caviezel goes, well, actually, I don't think that's what I'm really here for. And, I mean, how bold was this? And then he goes, look, I really believe you're doing something about Jesus, and I need to be involved. And Mel and Steve looked at each other like, what the heck? How does he know about this? And in Hollywood, you've got to be very careful about any movie idea, because what happens if people get a hold of what you're doing, they'll try and ride on the wave and do a substandard number and ride off that PR. And so he said, look, even if we were going to do a movie on Jesus, as an actor, I would advise you there's two roles in life you should never play. That's Superman and Jesus. And then Jim Caviezel said, well, look, for me, if it was the case, I would, Jesus is more important to me. Anyhow, Mel said, okay, well, I'll talk to you tomorrow. And so he rang back, and so that's how it happened.
Wow.
They decided then and there they had to stop the surfing movie and get on with the Passion of Christ and get it out there as soon as possible. So the whole, so Mel rings me up, and they decide that they're going to do it, and he rang me up and said, Ken, can you come and be on the movie? Because, I'm doing the Jesus movie. And I said, yeah, mate, that'd be great. So when are we talking about? In 3 weeks' time. What the heck? And he said, I'm meant to be launching my own book. It was coming up to Christmas, and I was meant to be launching my own book. And I said, I'm going to launch my book. I've got all this media stuff and everything like that. And he said, oh, man, I really want you to be there. And so I said, man, I'm going to have to go and talk to my wife, and I'll see how I go with that one. Anyhow, I went to Pam and said, look, darling, I know this is going to sound funny, but Mel wants me to come and shoot on a movie, the Jesus movie he's doing. He said, oh, that'll be great. That's fine. And she said, when is it? 3 weeks' time. And she went, what? Are you kidding? Well, let me get this right. You and Mel are going to go over there and play movies while I'm left with a book launched. You're meant to be there to launch this book, which is very important to us.
Yeah.
And I went, look, I know it's crazy, but look, I'm just going to leave it now. You pray about it and you let me know. So I thought, only God can deal with this one. And anyhow, so God spoke to Pam and said, look, he's got to go. And so I went. But, the book was fine in the end. It looked after itself. And it was such an amazing experience to be on set. Life-changing. And the whole movie, Mel I think he really wanted just to have a friend there. There was another photographer on the set, Philip Antonello, and when he first saw me come on set, he was like, "What's another photographer doing here?" I said, listen, mate, I'm a landscaper. I don't have a clue what I'm doing on this movie. But the thing is, Mel just wanted me here, and so I'm not a threat to you. And in fact, on the second day of being there, I realised we've got to do a book about this movie because this is like being transported back into time to the time of Jesus. And so I said to Mel, "Hey, Mel, look, we should do a book on this. What do you reckon?" And he said, "Look, Ken, if you want to do it, go for it. You look after that." And so that's what we did. And then Philippe became like my best mate because it was no longer just about shooting movie pics. It was about doing a book that would associate and go with the book. And that book sold about over 750,000 copies.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
These memories are fantastic. Listen, we're going to take a quick moment. We'll come back in just a moment. We have the incredible Ken Duncan with us. We're reminiscing about The Passion of the Christ because it's back in cinemas now.
And Ken, so exciting to hear you were on the set, but more exciting for me this morning, I didn't realise that friendship that you had with Mel that got you onto the set and part of being there really you've been saying is to be a friend during what would be a challenging time putting together a movie of such stature.
Look, he put everything on the line for that movie and, people don't realise that. All the so-called big backers, when they found out it was a movie about Jesus, they all just left him, hung him out to dry. And so he decided, I'm doing it. And he put everything on the line himself, So, and there was a lot of pressure. There was this crazy mob saying it was anti-Jewish, which he would never do anything anti-Jewish at all or anything like that. Sorry about that. And it was just he needed really, I think he wanted me to be on the movie there with him just to have a friend there as well, just that he could talk with because we've known each other since school days. And so before he was some celebrity, so.
I love that. And the friendship continues. And I know you can't say anything about, Passion of the Christ 2. There's a sequel been in the works for a very, very long time. But the last time we spoke to you, that Vision spoke to you, it was this time last year. Some people will remember you joined Phil Edwards and, some of the teams, including the elder, I think it's Kieran Malta of, putting on Memory Mountain the Forgiveness Cross. We remember, Phil and you being out there, sitting out there and celebrating around Easter. This amazing, amazing thing. But there's a Mel Gibson connection to that as well.
Oh, look, when Mel was out here shooting on Hacksaw Ridge, it was a pretty intense sort of movie there, and his girlfriend was coming over from America, Rose, who's just a lovely lady, and he wanted to get away, and I said, mate, you should, and he knew that we were building the cross, and he said, look, I want to come out and see this cross and see what you're doing, and so I said, oh, mate, okay, mate, so I took him out there and with his girlfriend, and it was just so good because as soon as we got Dallas, we then just he made one mistake. He wanted to go into the Coles while I was shopping. I said, I don't think this is a good idea. Anyhow, he came in and, people just wanted to line up to get his autograph.
Wow.
I had to be the bad guy and say, listen, you guys, he can't. He's on a schedule. He's not allowed to. Because people think, that they can just demand these people do anything. And so someone did get a photo, and the next minute people found out that he was in the area, but no one knew where he went because I just got him and took him out to Haas Bluff to meet my Aboriginal friends, and they all just said, they loved him, but they just treated him just like a normal person. They just called him Mad Max, and so anyhow, he loved it because no one cared who he was, and the elders, he said to all the people, listen, his family, treat him just, properly. And so we went up on top of the mountain where we were going to build the cross, and we were sitting up there just, looking at things and having a bit of a prayer. This huge eagle just came, the biggest eagle I've ever seen in my life, came and hovered at 30 foot above our head. Unfortunately, I didn't have a camera, but it just sat there for half an hour while we're sitting there, and he's going, man. And for him, he just said, look, this is the most amazing time. Because we're out there for 3 or 4 days. He said, this has been the most amazing time just to get away from everything. And So we had this amazing time. Meanwhile, we didn't realise that media trying to find out where's this Mel Gibson gone missing to. And so they're making up a story because they found out that he's gone out to where we're building the cross. So I go to take him back into town, and as I go back into town, we had no phone connection out there. All of a sudden, bing, 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 my phone's going off, and I thought, oh, look, I'll deal with that later. And so I dropped Mel at the airport, and then I start to answer the phones, and there's all these media people trying to find out about Mel Gibson. So there's some story that's been launched on London's front page of some major tabloid. Mel Gibson building cross, the sequel of The Passion of the Christ. What? And look, and that Mel's building it. Now, Mel has been loving, he loved it out there, but we actually said to Mel, we don't want any money from you because we don't ever want this cross to be known as someone's cross. It's got to be a cross that God does.
Yeah.
And, you know, I do want Mel to come out later on. He'll come out later on and he'll help with the Aboriginals, teaching them movie skills and making movies. So that's more where I'd like Mel to help later on to, you know, to impart knowledge because these people are great storytellers.
Yeah.
You know, this is why I've got the photo of the young girl, Letitia, behind me, because it's about equipping young kids with technology and skills so they can do things and create jobs and income streams doing things they like, you know. And so he loved the people out there and they loved him. And I can tell you, you really find out a lot about people when you're out there in remote communities. And Rose, she had kids all over her, and, you know, so it was an amazing time. So I had to then sort of quell this story. Look, it's not Mel Gibson's cross. I just took him out there to get away from media, you know.
Oh boy, we love that story, and that's a great transitional point of hearing what you're doing now. Ken, we love your heart, not only for the Lord, not only for capturing great images, but also for the Indigenous people of Australia, and wanting to be active in healing the wound of history and how the church can be involved in this. And that's on the back of you starting this organisation, walkawhile.org.au. Tell us about that.
The word walk a while comes from, if you really want to know someone, you need to walk a while with them. And then if you do that, they will then open up to you. And this is what Indigenous people are. So many people come and want things and think things about Indigenous people, but they're not prepared to spend the time. So we've been out there for over 20 years now working with the community, and the key is bringing job opportunities and also supporting what they're doing out there, because there is a revival in some of these remote communities. And, you know, I really believe the Indigenous people are the ones who are going to lead revival into this nation.
Let's go.
And so it's not like, oh, look, I love being out there with the people, but it's not just about what, you know, we can give to them. It's what they will give to us, because they understand moving in the Holy Spirit more than we do often, because they, you know, they're so sensitive to it. And we're seeing out at the cross huge miracles, amazing miracles, people getting touched sovereignly by the Holy Spirit without anybody intervening. So this is what Australia and the world needs. We need revival. No revival, we're in trouble. Like, it's just crazy, the media and everything. And if we're looking for politicians to have the answers, we're in trouble.
Happen. Yeah. So people can go to walkawhile.org.au.
Yeah, and support it. The thing is, what we're trying to do, though, is it's not just about Christianity and revival. It's about getting out there and walking with these people, creating job opportunities, so that doing things they like. And this is like you see on the news what's happening in Alice Springs. This is a bigger issue because they're not doing anything in these remote communities. There's no, what we've got is a technology centre out there, and we're teaching music. Some of the music we're getting out there is mind-blowing.
Wow.
And with Mel, I'd like him to come over later on, and he's going to come over because he loves the people out there. They've even named him. And
I think we need to pitch a bit of a radio school out there as well, and maybe we can.
Well, we should. We should do that. Come on out, because the thing is that they would love that. And, you know, especially, actually, it's funny because I brought a bunch of the kids up to Sydney and I took them to 2GB, a big station.
Yeah.
And they wanted to interview the kids. I said, well, really, you should get to know them first. And when I took them in, they all just went, they just didn't talk. And I said, kids, quick, you know. But,
I love it, Ken. Hey, listen, we could talk to you all day. We've run out of time. Listen, we're recommending everybody head over to awild.org.au. We'll put the link out there on our socials. But Ken, bless you. Thank you for going down the old memory lane with us there. And we're looking forward to what we're going to be doing with you in the future.
See you, mate. Bless you guys.